Hi, this is Jay with Epic Defensive Training. Welcome back to the channel. A couple issues in the news recently that I wanted to talk about having to do with gun safety. First of all, if anyone has been following the Ethan Crumbley trial that's been going on in Michigan, technically it's the trial of his parents. His father's trial concluded today. His mother's trial concluded a couple weeks ago. Both of them were found guilty of 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter for the deaths committed by their son Ethan. I don't have a lot of details about the actual trials themselves, but I do want to comment on one point that was raised in both trials, and that is both the mother and the father were convicted of involuntary manslaughter because, at least according to the jury, they allowed their minor son to have access to a handgun. I just want to affirm to everyone, remind everyone that if you own a gun, you are responsible for who has access to that gun. If you allow your child, your neighbor, a family friend, access to your gun, you are civilly and potentially criminally responsible for what they do with that gun. So it is up to you to make sure your gun is safe. It is locked up in a safe, in a lockbox, or whatever you choose is appropriate to make sure no one gets access to the gun that you don't believe should have access. And in this case, with both the parents, who were both found guilty of 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter, the jury determined that they allowed their son to have access to a gun when the son shouldn't have had access. He was a minor, he was not old enough to own the gun on his own, and the parents allowed him to get it according to the jury. They found them criminally liable. The second issue that has been in the news recently, for those of you who have been following the Rust trial concerning Alec Baldwin and the armorer was recently found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. In her case, she was the person on site allegedly responsible for the safety of all the handguns. And the point that I want to raise concerning her is that when you have a handgun, and if someone gives you a gun and says, "Don't worry, it's safe," or "It's empty," it is up to you to determine for yourself that that gun is in fact empty. Open the cylinder, rack the slide. You personally confirm every time you're handed a gun that that gun is empty if you're going to treat it as being empty, as being safe. If you're treating the gun as being loaded, as you should, then it doesn't matter. You're still going to point it in a safe direction. You're not going to pull the trigger unless you mean to, and you're going to follow all of the safety rules. But if you believe that it is empty and someone tells you it is empty, you are responsible until you personally confirm that that gun is empty. Do not take anyone's word. If you go to responsible gun stores, you will notice that every time they pull a gun out of the safe or out of the cabinet, they check that gun to make sure that it is empty, even if they're the ones who just put it back and they know that it's empty. Every time they handle the gun, they confirm it's empty. If someone hands you a gun, you confirm that it's empty. Every person handling that gun is responsible to make sure that the gun is safe if that is the intent. If you're going to shoot the gun, then you don't have to worry. But if you believe the gun is empty, it is your responsibility. Confirm that the gun is empty before you do anything with it. Thanks for listening. Please pay attention to these safety rules. As always, we're trying to keep everyone around us safe, and by following the rules, you will avoid problems. Thank you. Please hit like and subscribe.